My childhood trauma, and even beyond childhood trauma, because what does childhood trauma or abuse do to a person? When you grow up with parents or a parent or in a family system, I come from a narcissistic family system. My mother's a sociopath and a narcissist. When a child grows up in that environment, that child is pre-groomed for other abusers. So I'm going to say that the trauma that I went through is far beyond that childhood trauma, right? Do I have health issues as a result of that? I don't have big health issues. I don't have, thankfully, any autoimmune kind of things. Interesting, my mother has an autoimmune disease, which I'm not going to get into right now, but she does. And I lived with her father and mother for a good 5 years. So, looking back at that picture, that ties in with who and what she became, although she could have chosen to do better, right? We make our choices in this world in terms of how we're going to treat other people. But beyond that, getting back to the health issues, so I have a bladder infection at the same time every year. And I didn't realize that it was cyclical like that until this past summer. And I've had lots of changes in my life. I've had lots of periods where there's no changes in my life, changes in diet, not changes in diet, whatever. Looking backwards, I have gone through that every year for decades. And now I kind of tie it back to a period of time where I could see where my trauma was being heightened, where I was going through more than I had been prior to that. So I take that as my body is keeping the score. The trauma lives in my body, and that's a symptom of it and something that I need to process through. So I'll be really interested to see if June of next year I have the same health problem. Beyond that, I've had miscarriages. I've had other female health issues that I know are a result of my trauma, particularly because of the fact that I was sexually abused. In childhood, I suffered with shortness of breath, like can't catch my breath constantly. And somebody might say, oh, those were panic attacks or something like that. I would agree with that. I would say that's a form of anxiety coming out. And to this day, if I'm triggered by something or if I'm particularly stressed in any way, when I go to sleep at night, that's when I know where it's hit me because I can't catch my breath. And sometimes it's a bigger struggle than not. And I have to kind of, touch base with myself and figure out how to breathe through that and catch my breath. And I'm sharing this part of it, realizing this is not an autoimmune issue or anything like that, but rather realizing that I know other trauma survivors have that same experience. I would love for people, my sibling survivors out there, to share what your experiences are in the comment section, because as we know, we're all healing and growing together. And in sharing these experiences, maybe someone who is having some issues that they're not getting resolution for example, or they're seeking more answers or treatment or something like that. As you, my sibling survivors, exchange information, you might actually end up helping somebody out there who is at a stage where they are just beginning to realize the health issues that they're dealing with are a part of the trauma that they went through.